At least a dozen countries, including New Zealand, have been hacked by a group led by two Chinese nationals who've been arrested in the United States. And New Zealand spy agency, the GCSB, has established a link between the pair and the Chinese government. The Chinese embassy in New Zealand hasn't responded to RNZ's calls or emails, but overseas media say Beijing has rejected the economic espionage allegations, describing them as slanderous. New Zealand officials have formally expressed the country's disappointment to China and are also waiting to hear back. Here's political reporter Gia Garrick.
New Zealanders' data hasn't been compromised, the GCSB says, but managed service providers have been. These are organisations that provide technology services such as internet access, email services or call centres to companies which operate in New Zealand. The head of the agency, Andrew Hampton, says the GCSB has come out quite aggressively on this matter because it undermines international agreements and affects global stability.
New Zealand depends on a rule-based order. We depend on a open, secure, safe cyberspace, and these types of campaigns are quite contrary to that.
But the minister responsible for the country's spy agencies, Andrew Rudisill, says it's not cause for New Zealanders to panic about their data.
Although a couple of MSPs were hit, it didn't compromise their services, didn't stop any New Zealand client of theirs from getting their services safely and as securely as possible. What it did show is that there is vulnerability, and that's why it's important that all network owners and network service providers make sure that they have the top-notch cyber security that we've got to have in this day and age.
The hackers Zhu Hua and Zhang Shilong have been part of a hacking group in China known as Advanced Persistent Threat 10, or the APT-10 group, since at least 2006, and acted in association with the Chinese Ministry of State Security, the American FBI has found. They're facing a raft of heavy charges in the US: conspiracy to commit computer intrusions, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and aggravated identity theft. Their link to the Chinese government hasn't come as a huge surprise to Andrew Little.
Russia has an outfit set up specifically for cyber attacks. North Korea obviously has a track record internationally made now of having done this. Some Middle Eastern countries are doing it. It's no surprise that China has this too. This is now a modern form of, you might say, sort of warfare.
The arrests have seen the FBI director, Christopher Wray, accuse China of plundering some of America's most valuable commodities, including trade secrets, over the past decade.
No country poses a broader, more severe, long-term threat to our nation's economy and cyber infrastructure than China. China's goal, simply put, is to replace the U.S. as the world's leading superpower, and they're using illegal methods to get there.
New Zealand's relationship with China could also be on rocky ground. However, the Foreign Affairs Minister Winston Peters hasn't responded to requests for comment today. Revelations of China's state-sponsored hacking comes on the back of a decision by New Zealand to block Chinese tech company Huawei from being involved in the rollout of the new 5G data network. The GCSB cited security reasons, following similar decisions by Australia and the United States. Huawei's chief financial officer was later arrested in Canada, wanted on extradition to the United States, which has further escalated tensions between Beijing and Washington. Relationships between the two superpowers are being described as on very thin ice. From Parliament for Checkpoint, Gia Garrick.